And we are live. Welcome to Monarchist Minute with Monarchist news out of the good old US of A. We have a development in the story we brought you last week, and the government shutdown has been narrowly avoided with a last-minute vote. How long will this funding go? Through December 3rd, but will the Republicans and Democrats get together for maybe 5 minutes and come up with something more permanent that isn't stupid? To John, then to Jesse, then to Polish, our resident Pole.
Hello. So let's see. Let's get this question. So So are we doing the questions first, or we just
No. I just asked you.
Yeah.
Do you think that
Introductions. Let's do
Congress can avoid can avoid doing something fiscally irresponsible for 5 seconds?
Oh yeah, absolutely not. They're incompetent. Like with the thing they did with COVID, like it took weeks to respond because of like partisan disputes. You really think that they're going to do anything about this? Like they narrowly avoided collapsing the economy of America. So I don't really trust them to do anything at this point. Even the Republicans that I might semi-agree with are just spineless cowards, in my opinion.
Well, here's the interesting point on that, though. The Republicans are saying that they do not want to raise the debt limit. But the problem with that is, unless they start spending fiscally responsibly right now at this moment, I don't even then, I think you're going to have to raise the debt limit because it's not like, that you still have all the spending that is going to go. We're going to reach the debt limit in November, I think, right?
Well, the
And
thing
you can't
is,
just stop spending money.
you gotta actually spend responsibly
Yeah, and I
instead
mean,
of
like,
just raising the debt limit.
yeah,
You
but
gotta
I mean,
spend responsibly before you raise the debt limit. But
no.
now we're putting the carriage before the horse.
Well, yes. I mean, I agree. You had to spend responsibly before not raising the debt limit.
Yeah,
But the problem, and that's the problem with the
you're gonna have to
Republicans want to
raise the
say.
debt limit now. Yeah,
I mean, if the Republicans actually said, okay, we'll raise the debt limit one more time, just one more time, and then
yep.
never again, because we're actually going to start spending responsibly, then I might buy it. But at this point,
Yeah.
it just sort of seems like the reluctance to raise the debt limit sort of seems more like a ploy. I mean,
It seems like the days of the fiscal conservative in Washington is over.
what's the
Like,
GOP even there for anymore? Because they're not
yeah,
socially conservative, and now they're not
it's
fiscally
just
conservative.
it's essentially just the big spending Democrats that don't like abortion or like stuff like that
Uh,
anymore. Like, that's what it
yeah.
When you,
is.
I have something to say. So
Okay. Polish.
Uh,
and we won't ever do it again.
yeah, it's a slippery slope, and I know people hate the term slippery slope, but that exists. You're cutting out, dude.
Yeah, you're
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yikes.
He's still cutting
That was
out
a hard cut out.
after he was muted. That's
That's
Discord.
that's better.
Okay, I'm sorry I have to do this.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so for those of
We're
you
sorry.
who are not actually watching this as we record it, what happened is that
Yeah.
Polish was
Polish
trying to
got
say
possessed.
something, and then Discord decided to go Hitler and his firmware disaster update mode, and and decided to glitch him out even after he was muted. So
The demonic spirit of Hitler entered into Discord and into Polish's account.
I don't.
What do you think?
No, I don't. We shouldn't make jokes about that stuff. Hopefully, Polish will say what he needs to say in the comments, and hopefully, these issues will be resolved. So, I guess Jesse needs to give his opinion now before we can move on to the real meat and potatoes.
This is again we're continuing with the debt ceiling, considering
Briefly.
So, the problem with the whole debt ceiling concept is that it's just a ticking time bomb that is used for as a political weapon. Like, tell me at one point how it was not meant to be weaponized when it's like, we're reaching the limits of what's possible. We'll just push it back. It was basically inevitable that this would eventually be used as some sort of weapon politically. It's just that now we clearly know it is more of a volatile thing that is not it's not as simple as we thought. Um, we used to kind of just ignore it politically speaking, just kind of think, oh, we'll just push it back every single time. It doesn't matter. No, we don't need to be partisan about it. We don't need to worry about it in that manner.
Well,
Just push
yeah.
it
I
forward.
mean, that comes out of the liberal consensus after World War II. We were still deficit spending back then. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean,
It is and always has been just exclusively kicking the can down the road. And little did we know that if you keep on kicking that can down the road, it's going to
uh-oh.
get kind of sharp and can be used as a weapon against someone who you don't like. Especially if that person happens to be the president or Congress or just someone who you do not like in power. That the
Yeah,
other side can just say, well, if you don't do this, we're going to basically put a bomb to ourselves and say, we're not going to operate anymore. So you either listen to us or we don't do anything at all. And I feel like, obviously, there's a slight moral issue with that. The whole concept of just saying, we're going to do what we want, and if you say no, well, too bad, you're coming along with us for the ride. Because if you don't agree with us, well, guess who else gets punished? Not only me, but you.
um,
And so I
Yeah.
feel like this just wouldn't happen in other circumstances. I mean, think
Oh
about
yeah.
it. If you had a different form of government where there was more restrictions or more sort of issue with the partisan system of our liberal democracy, where there would be a means of preventing this,
Oh,
that
and
would allow for
mhm.
more partisan activities, because it used to be partisan. So if it was once partisan, that means it could be again, or it has the potential to be at least in some capacity. I mean, we've done it once, we can do it again. The problem is, what can we do? And and in my opinion, with the system how it is now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm normally very optimistic, but this just, to me, since whenever I think about this, it just seems like it was always meant to be a weapon at some point. Well, easily weaponizable. So
Yeah.
I view this as a very non-shocking development, in my personal opinion. I view this as kind of an
Hmm.
obvious step that it was going to happen. I mean, it happened in the Trump administration, I believe, once, where they shut down for a bit because he didn't do what I wanted him to do, so I'm shutting everything down. Like,
It's a bargaining chip now.
yeah,
exactly, and
In
it's
other
not
words.
acceptable because people's lives are at stake. You don't play with people's lives. This isn't
Hmm.
a game, you know. And it's really unacceptable. It really
yeah.
Oh
is.
yeah. For the people at home, who might you be, Jesse? We didn't get to that. You might know me, and you might know Charles.
Oh
I don't.
yeah.
I don't
But
know
who is
exactly.
Jesse?
I don't know exactly what he'd be looking for. What would you?
Um,
Well,
for
we
the
know that I'm
audience
the
on YouTube.
publicist. We know that I'm the resident Jacobite.
Oh
We
yes.
know that I am the
I'm
bully who is
Didn't I say
crazy.
this last time though? I believe I said this last time because I said I was the leader of Monarchist Action and such. I believe we kind of went into that a little bit. I'm not sure how much we went into that, but I know we went into it a
yeah.
little bit.
You think I listen to these things after I record
Yeah.
them?
Well, you're the one
You
who
don't
makes
think
the
I
Um,
just throw
or
them onto a video
yeah, I
editing
of
software and
course
put them
right,
on my
did
yeah.
you?
YouTube?
I am of course the chancellor, the equal to Jesse and on Monarchists of America. So we have him as a guest because one of our people, or two of our
Two of our
people
people.
actually aren't here. We were gonna have Polish, but he's still working out mic issues. So
Also, I was always
hopefully
told
the demon is
when
gone
it
from his
Uh,
mic soon.
I was
What's
also
up?
told I was also told whenever I want to come on, I can just text you guys because you guys will really
Oh
like
yeah,
last time I was on. So if you and I was like, sure, if you guys need people, I'll do it for you. You know, it's
um,
just I like you guys. You guys, it makes me wonderful content. And so yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up all of the statements I have on the debt ceiling and who we are and all that.
and
all
So
right. Let's.
yeah.
yeah,
So,
I
well,
guess we're
actually,
gonna get to the fun.
before we
Or
get to the fun, there is
progressively.
one thing that I'm completely unqualified to talk about, but that was brought up.
Oh,
There has been a royal marriage in Russia. And since all I know
What?
about it is that it
Yeah.
happened, is that
A royal marriage in
yes, a
Russia.
royal
Just
wedding
royal
in
marriage.
Russia, and it's the first since the Russian Revolution. So that's all I really know about it.
Based.
So all I can
Yeah.
say is commie tears.
Let me look that up.
You didn't hear
As for
about
a
that. I
royal
saw
marriage in Russia.
that showed up in my
What, you
news.
did not browse r/monarchism? Oh,
Oh,
the New York Times has apparently done a piece
yeah, no,
on it.
everyone's done a piece on it. I saw it like all over the news. It was just plastered all over the place.
Who's married there? Okay.
The Orthobros sure know how to put on a.
Oh yeah, I love their marriage rights. Let's.
Yeah,
Uh,
mend the schism so everybody can
Let's
share in
see.
pretty weddings. Well, just
Yeah,
mend the
you
schism.
have
Oh, someone
you had the
married into the
Byzantine right
Romanov
to
family.
Catholicism.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So someone marrying into the Romanovs. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
the Ruthenian rite does the same thing. I think the
Yeah,
crowning, the whole crowning ceremony, that's the same thing.
It's
yeah,
very
Pretty
interesting.
based. They're
yeah.
starting to
Um,
rain a lot here too. It's crazy. What's up? Now
well,
we're on to the first question.
yeah. So,
Goodness.
what I have for what was supposed to be
Yeah.
3 co-hosts, but my 2 co-hosts, is I have a
Yeah.
list of questions. It currently is at 5, but they only know about
Uh,
4. And
Oh
the
boy.
first 4 questions they have been shown ahead of time, so they could
Mhm.
think about them, contemplate them. But the 5th question is of the utmost importance. And whereas the first 4 questions they can answer with some degree of funniness, leniency, whatever. The 5th one I want their honest opinion on, and that's why I'm going to shock them with it and not tell them about it. So, okay, so we have 4 questions. So the first one is, and this is one, once again, we can be silly, but this first one you may not want to be. What is your opinion on the increasing number of Americans who want secession, and how do you think we ought to deal with it? Using words like ought to sound smart or something. First to my boss man, and then
Yes.
to not boss man, but who is also a
Yes.
boss man. Okay, John.
Yeah. Um. Well. Being I think one of the only people here from the South, I have a decent perspective on like secession and what it does to a region's identity. I don't like it. I really don't like the idea of the United States splitting up. I hope to God it splits up, or it doesn't split up, um, because I really like the United States. Believe it or not, being a monarchist doesn't change the fact that I love the United States, and I I don't think as a reticent as a immediate option to a government being as bad as it's being now is secession. We need to try everything in our power, aside from secession, to make sure this country goes in the right direction. Now, if it push comes to shove and the federal government completely collapses, okay. But aside from that, secession is a big no for me. Um, I'm from the South. I love being from the South. I I love Southern culture. Um, and personally, I don't like the idea that the South is so, I guess, tied to secession in a way by other people. I don't think that's a proper assessment, especially now, since of how many demographics have changed in the South. Um, the South is actually one of the more diverse areas in the country, believe it or not. Um, it's not the way it was like 150 years ago. Um, I don't want secession. I dread secession. Um, I don't want to abandon America unless I absolutely, positively have to. Um, but yeah, that's my opinion on it. I kind of have a more personal connection given the history of my state and my region. But yeah,
Hmm.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I guess now we move on to Jesse.
Yep.
Yep.
You
uh,
can with Jesse. Hello.
He's
muted.
muted. So I
You
guess
want
I
to
can give
do
my 2
yours?
cents.
Yeah, you do yours.
I guess I can give my 2 cents as opposed to awkward silence. So
Yeah.
my personal take on it is that secession is it's an interesting concept as a monarchist, because I think Abraham Lincoln was actually asked this question. I tried to, I would try to stop saying as many ums. But I did it again. Okay, so not and I believe Abraham Lincoln was asked the question what he thought of Southern secession, and his answer was, "If secession be valid, then my thoughts have to lie with the Confederacy. If secession not be valid, then God save the king." Um,
That's from Charles Cologne, I
yeah,
believe, in that.
yeah, I think he was
What
quoting
is going
Abraham
on with
Lincoln from
Jesse?
that.
I mean,
Why do I keep umming? It doesn't. I should not be talking this way. I should not be Okay, okay. So, if secession be valid, then my thoughts have to lie with the South. If secession not be valid, then God save the king.
oh, okay.
I guess
He's trying to
because,
think.
huh?
Jesse's trying to think.
Oh,
So
okay. He's trying to think. Well, in in that case, well, as a Jacobite, I don't think we rebelled against unlawful authority anyway, so that sort of eases the burden
mhm.
on it.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
But
I was away. Did I miss?
yeah,
What did I miss again? Because
we're
apparently I
gonna
missed.
we're gonna ask you
Everything. We're wrapping up.
your
Just
take on the
kidding.
secession
Oh,
thing
wrapping up
after.
already. So what's the thing you're gonna ask me?
Well, I'm gonna ask you the take on the secession thing, but I was giving my piece before you so rudely
Sorry, sorry.
interrupted
Yeah.
me by existing.
Gee, thanks, man.
No, 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 it's fine. Well,
Ah,
so seeing as how I do not think that America rebelling against the unlawful Hanoverian regime, as much as I actually, you would think that as a Jacobite I would despise all the Hanoverians, but I actually do have somewhat of a personal soft spot for George III. Maybe it's just because I'm fond for a time I didn't live through, or maybe because even because anything would be better than our current situation. But you guys gotta call me out, okay? Every time I say you have to yell at me. Okay. No. So
no, bad,
I can
bad.
give you a warning every
No.
time you say
yes.
Every single time you say an angel dies. Think about that. You're killing angels.
Yeah.
How dare you?
That's not how this
Every
works.
You're
time you say
people.
in an alternate universe, a king dies. So you better watch out, dude.
You're killing
Okay.
people, man.
Okay.
Stop
Okay.
killing people.
Okay.
Dude,
So
unacceptable.
Yeah, dude.
this is gonna take all night. Okay.
We wanted it to be more chill, dude.
Yes, we wanted
That's
to
what
be
you're
this. I
doing.
wanted this to be the chill episode, not the berate Charles episode.
Lucky number
But I'm
7.
turning
Kill
it into
people
the berate
then.
Charles. I am using emergency powers to turn this into the chill/berate Charles episode. Okay.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have killed people then, dude. Shouldn't have
Yes.
killed
Okay.
Yeah.
So not trying to kill kings with my saying of the word.
the UN.
University of Michigan. Okay.
All
Well, I
right,
completely
finish
lost
your
my train of thought.
thoughts.
Okay, I'm gonna try to finish this quickly so I can shut up.
Aha. Immediately, dude. Immediately, man.
Okay, okay,
Someone's
okay.
about to lose
So
their kneecap
secession
privileges.
is bad, and we rebelled against unlawful authority. So that means that we were, in a sense, the lawful authority, kinda ish. But that even if we were unlawful, the South had no right to rebel against unlawful authority unless they were intending to install lawful authority. So that's what I have
Which
to
they
say
did.
about that.
Yeah.
And I would explain, but I do not want to kill kings in alternate timelines. I don't want people to have heart attacks. So I'm going
We
to
were
throw that
bad.
onto Jesse
Now we're
now,
good.
and I will shut up.
Moving up into your
Yeah.
neighborhood.
It definitely wasn't lawful what they did. Like
Yeah, I don't think it was lawful by any means. Like, you can't
Yeah.
just say, guys, tax evasion is a lawful reason to.
Also slaves,
Yeah,
let's write that into our constitutions.
yeah, that was
mean,
that was
I
that was not cool.
understand.
You
But
kind of lose the people in the room when you do that.
I
well,
support states' rights, but I don't support slavery. So there's a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
of a disconnect there. Like, I'm
yes,
all for
well,
states'
It's like, okay, like guys,
Hmm.
I have this excellent idea. It's states' rights. Pause to own slaves. There you lost me, dude. Like boom. Yeah, you lose me right at slavery, you know? States' rights is good, but when it involves dehumanization, that's when it gets cringe.
Hmm.
Unbased, if you will.
I had something to say, but I'm going to move on to Francis because I don't want to kill King Louis the
Yeah.
27th.
So what
in
about,
the
what's about secession, or is this about the stupid statistic where more Democrats want to secede?
No, this is purely about secession as a concept and your thoughts on
Yeah.
people
I feel
wanting
like
to secede.
secession can be lawful if it's done like the UK leaving the European Union. Like, they have conferences about it, they negotiate it, and then that would be a legal succession.
Yeah, and if it's done
Declaring your
in a moral
independence
way.
and then stealing weapons from the territory of which you were previously a part of does not constitute legal secession. That just constitutes
Yep.
it being in a state of rebellion. Like that is what that is. There should be a legal way. No, I understand the US is not the same, but I feel like if we were to have a United States, like ideally, if you were to have an empire or a unified kingdom, then obviously that wouldn't be a thing. But if someone like a Holy Roman Empire, kind of like a federal or a confederal system, like the European Union, Holy Roman Empire, some sort of system like that, then that would be fair game. Why would that be fair game? Well, it's simple. It's because in that sort of system, what are you looking at? What are you dealing with? Well, in that system, what you'd be dealing with is you can leave if you want because you're not necessarily uh, originally a part of the same unit. You're kind of becoming a part of that unit by conquest. Which, I mean, the United States, it inherited most of its territory through through conquest. So the eastern states, the 13 colonies, the 13 original states, that would be counted as, I would say, conquest, because that's how that was obtained. We won the Revolutionary War, and the Revolutionary War in the treaty gave us that land. So
Congratulations, we conquered ourselves.
well, but I'm saying that is objectively different than, say, the European Union, where it's nation states that already previously existed coming together in a union. Like if the early U.S. and the U.K. became part of a union, one of those would be able to secede. If a nation forms in the heart of Europe and the Holy Roman Empire is a centralized state, you should not be able to secede from it because it's a centralized state. It depends purely on if it's nations coming together to form like a union state, or is it a unified nation with separatist movements. Because in this, depending on the scenario, I would support different things. Like personally, I have a few biases, which leads to this concept being used in practice in general, with a few notable exceptions. Like the Holy Roman Empire, like obviously people did leave the Holy Roman Empire, but I don't think that
Kinda
should have been
cringe, bro.
done. Yeah, exactly. I disagree with that. So, reasonably
Leaving
speaking, I'm not a big fan of that, and I think it's minor, like in a minor was inconsistency is what you'd call that in my philosophy, but that's because my philosophy has exceptions for situations where it is abnormal circumstances. In the United States, it was colonies coming together, but like let's be honest. After I mean, the Confederates
Would have
would have
been
been
right if
right
they had
if
a
this was
just thing to fight for. You know what I mean?
cool
Like,
hats.
yeah, if it was like if the North or whatever was actually doing something tyrannical, you know, you could make the case. But it was to enshrine slavery. That's the problem. You know, it's not states' rights and anti-federalism. It is to defend an immoral practice. Like that's my opinion on it.
And before we move on, the final thing to wrap up is seceding from the European Union equals base. Seceding from the Holy Roman Empire equals cringe.
Yeah, cringe.
Now, To move on to our second question, we have the standard political icebreaker question. Who are your top 3 presidents? And because I started first with John last time, we will start with Jesse this time.
In my top 3. Okay.
They can either be best or worse.
Oh, I could think of worst very easily. Best, bit hard to come by, but I think I'll do both just to be fair, because you need salt and you need sweetness.
Oh,
You can't do one without the other. I feel like it'd be kind of rude to just say you're bad, you're bad, you're bad without saying you're good, you're good, you know what I mean? You gotta kind of have
Yeah.
some balance there.
I definitely have 3 good ones, like ones that I really like.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
we're not getting to you yet.
Okay, dude.
Because I'm in the center. You see, dear viewers, because I am in the center in this little Discord thingy, because it shows Jesse to me left and John to me right. It gives me this illusion of supreme control. So,
Yeah.
anyways, Jesse, please continue.
I'm gonna start with my least favorite, since you always ask for the bad news first. No one asks for the good news first. You always ask for the bad news, and then you sweeten the deal with the good news. So we're gonna start with the bad ones. Number 1, President Wilson.
Base.
Number 2, that's a bit difficult. I would say probably it's hard to compare someone to fucking Wilson. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Wilson's pretty bad.
May that be the only time we use that particular word on the show ever.
I'm trying to think.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry.
You said the bad one.
I'm trying to think. Sorry. It's there. He's hard to be as bad as him. It is really difficult to be as awful as him. So I'm struggling to think of someone who's even remotely close in terms of evil. But I'm because I don't want to do anything after the 2000s, because that's just immediately controversial. So I want to say behind the 2000s. That's difficult. That's really hard. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to say FDR. I dislike him, but he's definitely not like the worst. The second worst, rather.
Yeah.
I want to say, what was that? What was the President Kenzie or whatever he was, who was like he's the corporate shill that the Rockefellers and everything just kind of installed as a puppet. That guy was
McKinley.
Yeah, McKinley. That guy was the worst. I hate him. He's the second worst, actually, because Wilson is the worst. And then third worst, I would say either FDR for being a Soviet shill, or because he did do that. Let's be honest. We know what he did. And he also did the whole internment camp thing, and he did it very aggressively. Yeah. In general, his war policies were very aggressive, to put it lightly. And I mean, obviously, then I would say it's either him or Nixon, because he is definitely a crook. I don't care what you say, he is definitely a crook.
But his campaign slogan was "I am not a crook."
Well, he's a liar. That's simple as.
You're saying campaign slogans can be lies?
Have you ever heard of a politician?
Have you heard Wilson's campaign slogan? He kept us out of the war. Yeah, he definitely kept us out of the war.
Yeah, have you ever heard of a politician lying, Charles? Come on now. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's just like fairy tales, like if you call 911.
Unicorns aren't real, guys. What?
Okay.
Everyone knows that the pizza man shows up before the 911. Call it.
Okay. So. This is the argument for pizza boys always being packing. They could be the reserve police.
Exactly. So
your top 3 best then.
Best. Ooh. Obviously George Washington, because he's a hero. Okay, listen. He was not dumb, but he was not the most smart. But he was a good man, and because he has a moral foundation that makes even the most patriotic of men quiver in their boots of how morally upstanding he was and caring and gentleman, I'm gonna go with him as my favorite, because he is a hero. I know it sounds generic, but I know a lot about presidents, so despite it sounding generic, I have my reasons, and that is he's a badass, he's a cool guy, love the man. Listen, if you would you not vote for the man who won your nation's independence, would you not vote for that man? Tell me, would you not vote for him? I mean, also he was like wasn't he? Yeah, he was the first 6-star general in the United States history. The first
Yeah, I
6
think.
star. He was
I
given that
think.
honor by Congress.
Yeah, it was him and
MacArthur for like 6 months.
um it was him and what's his name? Pershing,
Yeah,
I
he
think.
was.
Spills. Okay, so then
Just
you
has
got one.
something.
You got one, Jesse. What
I'm trying
about
to think because number 2 is. I mean, I would say Abraham Lincoln, but people are like, he's a tyrant. You can't say that.
Hmm. But Top Hat though.
Yeah, cool hat.
No.
Okay, so we'll leave number 2. What about number 3 as your B plus candidate?
Number 2 and number 3. Number 2 and number 3. You know, for number 2, I
The
don't.
standard, the pencil. You know.
You know, I wish Alexander Hamilton was president because I would say him. I'm gonna be honest with
All
you.
based.
If he was, I would have said him, but he was not president, unfortunately. But you know, Johnny Adams. Johnny Adams, wasn't he president for a bit? The lawyer, John Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with him because he said that quote. What is the quote? Let me bring up the quote
Oh
because
yeah, the anti
then no, I'm gonna read
oh
it.
you got a little challenge in the conference chat.
Uh
Pretty sure
oh.
Ornstein just said John Adams was a terrible president. Who was that?
We
Who
don't
said
want
that?
to. We definitely do not want a repeat of last week.
Let me just no,
Ooh.
but let me pull out this quote. Let me pull out this quote. Where is it? Because I'm trying to. It was about democracy.
Oh yeah, I remember the quote.
Word for word.
No, I can paraphrase it maybe, but I'm not going to
This
paraphrase it. I'm
is
gonna
this,
wait for Jesse.
this is what it is. Democracy has never been and never can be so durable as aristocracy or monarchy. But while it
Ooh.
lasts, it is more bloody than either. Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There's not yet a democracy that had not yet commit suicide.
Based?
So I'm gonna say him exclusively because of that quote. That quote is basically the thing that has made me decide that.
Plus he was actually the second president.
That's true.
So okay. So number 3. Number 3, Jesse.
Ooh, this is you're putting the pressure on me because I want to go for one of the more like imperialistic ones, but not in the Wilsonian way, because Wilson's cringe. Um, what was it? James K. Polk. Didn't he take land? Yeah, he did take.
He won from the Mexicans, which you would think on a
Yeah.
surface level is a bad thing because of how Mexico is supposedly Catholic, but when you consider how anti-clerical Mexico was, it's sort of irrelevant.
To be fair, though, did you consider that the Knights of Columbus and KKK fought in Mexico, and the Knights of Columbus won? So the Catholics won. So there is that.
Okay. So, John, your top 3. You can either do just worst, just best, both.
Okay. For me, absolutely number one would be George Washington. And I'm basing this list off of people who I think at least partly embody what a king would be like. How I see an ideal king, you know, at least close, not like a king, but who I would see as a precursor to our eventual king. You know, that's how I see it. George Washington's absolutely on the top of that list. He was noble to an extent. He was a good man, um, and he decided to remain neutral. He was the guy in the middle, and I really like George Washington as number one. Um, that's my number one pick. Number two, let me think. Let's see. I do like Huh.
This is making a
I'm
lot.
gonna
This is a
go
lot
ahead.
harder for you guys than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
Listen, it's
I mean,
hard. It's hard to choose. There's a
yeah,
lot of good ones and
it's
the
pretty
bad ones.
difficult, especially for me. The South. Being from the South, it's kind of a different view.
It's not easy to just choose your favorite thing, like unless
Yeah.
you pre-plan that. We didn't pre-plan this.
So for the second spot, I would probably say Roosevelt.
Which one?
Theodore.
Okay, because you said the other one, I would have
Yeah. I do know, like in Quiz Bowl, like if you say Roosevelt, they don't like give you the answer.
They don't like that.
Two of
They
them.
really don't like that.
Mm-hmm. Roosevelt. He was a conservationist. He went after trusts and monopolies, at least to the best of his abilities. He embodied. He was an aristocrat too, which is kind of based. He embodied what American monarch would be, also how I see an American monarch. He's number two. I would say at a more distant number three. I say this because there are not many other presidents that I can say I like. I tend to like see presidents in a different way than, what's your favorite president? I compare the presidents to monarchs. So definitely my third, and it's a distant third, but it's still a third, is Ronald Reagan. And I know William's somewhere feeling a pain in his chest because I'm pretty sure he doesn't like Ronald Reagan. I mean, I don't like Ronald Reagan for a lot of reasons, or I don't like what Ronald Reagan did in certain situations for a lot of reasons. But I appreciate the way he carried himself to some extent, and I agreed with like you said, Ornstein. I don't agree with what he did with economics, but I kind of like I like him. Like, he was a decent person. He knew how to charm a crowd. Yeah. Of course he messed up, and that's why I say it's a distant third. But
what
yeah.
he could have been, as opposed to what he actually was.
Yeah. I look at him as, if he was a monarch, he would have been great. You know what I mean? I think he was a little bit wrapped up in partisan politics, in that era. But yeah, he's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and that's why he's on number three. But yeah, that's my best. Now my worst is, and you see a lot of my list in Jesse's list. It's got to be Wilson. Not only because Wilson is a demon. Excuse me. He repealed a lot of he repealed a lot of things that like the beginning what America had, like the Senate. He did a lot with that, and I don't like him for that. Also, income tax, absolutely not. And he was just a demon all around. He was also a racist. He played Birth of a Nation in the White House. So
That's one of the main reasons I hate him, actually, because
I despise him for that. Second least favorite. And it's like Jesse after Wilson. It's all.
I mean, he's the obvious one.
Yeah, and think of this list as like 6, and like the number 3s of each are in the middle. Think of it like that. So on a poll, because I don't care about a lot of presidents. So these are the 6 that stand out to me. So when I say Ronald Reagan's in the number 3, that means he's in the middle. So he's like a 5 or 6. So keep that in mind. So number 2 of the worst would be, man, I gotta think about this one. I really don't want to say Jefferson, but he did a lot to kind of ruin the whole concept of church and state cooperating, I guess. I would probably put him as 3. I would probably say, and keep in mind that's kind of in the middle for me. So, like on a scale of 1 to 6, with each of the presidents that I have in mind, he would be number 3. So it's kind of like the inverse of the Reagan thing, where I saw Reagan as a good guy, kind of mediocre to bad president. I see, yeah, it's like what Ornstein said. I see Jefferson as a horrible person, but as a decent president. So he's like number 3 to me. Number 2, I would probably say FDR. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's
so
FDR was a messed up guy.
I'll give my brief. So 3 worst. I guess I said no more ums. Okay, so it would
He had this
be.
planned.
I'm gonna mute you after this. If one more and you're gone, son.
I thought you had this planned, my dude.
Yeah.
I
Didn't you? Aren't you so prepared for this?
Yeah, dude.
I am prepared to do a lot of things, like stage a coup of any student government in any random school in the country of my choice.
But I thought that you were criticizing us for being too slow. What now you can't do it
No,
now?
I have the list. So top 3 worst, obviously Wilson, then FDR. Not FDR's economic policy was bad. His complete, what was it called? Okay, FDR's unconditional surrender. Unconditional surrender. That was sort of stupid. FDR's unconditional surrender was sort of stupid. And then for number 3, I lied. I didn't have this prepared. Okay. Okay. Number 3 worst. Oh, LBJ. Because however well intentioned his social policies were, his creation of essentially the modern welfare state is sort of one of the final nails in the coffin
You know,
of the Republic.
I'm not gonna
history.
lie. I'm gonna replace FDR with LBJ. I kind of forgot about him, to be honest.
Here's the thing, though.
He's not really the
LBJ
most memorable president unless you really want to study presidents.
I mean,
Yeah.
he did like really push the whole like he kind of started the Vietnam War, and he's also I mean he wasn't a bad guy. He was just too idealistic essentially. Because if he kind of like thought more in terms of what we are capable of instead of what we should be capable of, he probably would have done a lot better for us.
Now,
Exactly, like a lot of
No,
benefits.
how would you
came from-
respond to what Tom Duke just said about LBJ gave us civil rights and furthered the space program? What do you say about that?
No, I would say that
I would say that
that's a good one.
those are valid opinions, but I feel as if unless you elected an actual Klansman, I feel as if the tides had fortunately already turned in the civil rights movement by that point. And the furthering of the space program, that's also good. And I'm not sure whether or not LBJ did that because it's like America, space, USA. Or he was just trying to carry on JFK's legacy with his "We will go to the moon before the decade is out." So,
like every president you have, there's going to be a draw because obviously they're not going to be as good as our standards of a monarch. So, that's why. Yeah, that's why we're kind of talking about like people that we're kind of mixed feeling like with. You know what I mean? It's like Reagan, when I was talking about Reagan, like there are some things I like about him, but some things are horribly bad about him. And that's what most presidents have. Like,
I feel like Reagan was a good guy and he did a lot of good things.
Yeah. The
problem is,
I agree with
the problem is that like he was a very smart man and he knew what he was doing. The problem is that no one else around him knew what he was doing, so everyone kind of just dropped the ball. So like after his presidency, he basically micromanaged. Like he was what was the emperor? There was one emperor of the Roman Empire who like micromanaged every single aspect of the empire and basically tried to make it as perfect as possible. I feel like that was Reagan. So after him, it could not be better.
What do you say about the drug war? What do you think about that
It was a good
regards to
idea.
Reagan?
It was poor execution. That's what I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Good idea, poor execution. Because
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is an effective way to prevent those sorts of things.
Now,
And I feel like
I
the
actually
method-
disagree with Reagan's initial thing. I think, drugs need to be managed as an addiction type thing. And the dealers need to be put down, but the people who are addicted on it need to be, helped and stuff like that. But,
we did get in the
Mhm.
80s and 90s all of those glorious anti-drug commercials because of it. All those glorious and cringe-worthy anti-drug commercials that are
Yeah.
just so based because they're cringe. Okay, so for my
Yeah.
top 3 favorite presidents, obviously we have the man, the myth, the legend, Washington. Now, both of you actually sort of refrained from putting Lincoln as number 2, which kind of surprised me. Yes, okay, John in content being a Louisiana, and I can sort of understand that. But despite his somewhat authoritarian-ish tendencies, which
yeah, that's
once
kind of my
again, I'm
point
not
about.
saying that that's a good thing, but Lincoln really was the man for the job in his undying commitment to preserving the great union.
I understand that, but I feel like obviously everyone hears that, but you have to realize if you look at his personal life, he was a broken man. His children were sick and dying, and he was absolutely miserable. So I feel like
and he
he was the
persevered
right
despite it.
exactly. He was the right man exclusively because he was strong enough. Imagine if you had someone without those issues who was equally strong. You know what I mean? I feel like if there was less, if he had less issues, it would have been
Yeah.
better for him. He would have been able to troop through it and get more things done.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I see Bush in a way. Like I don't like Bush at all. I don't like him, but he managed at least his chunk of the wars, like how he responded to 9/11, how he started those wars. As the time went on, his prowess started to fade, but in that initial few years of you know that time frame, that's the way I see Bush. He wasn't a good president, or he wasn't particularly generally a good president, but he was a good president for that specific time frame,
Mhm.
I guess.
Um,
And that's the same way
Yeah.
I kind of see Lincoln.
Well, the thing is,
He was okay in that specific context.
yeah, I agree with that, and I feel like the one thing that people forget is that the reason why we went into all those wars in the early 2000s was over terrorism, and what happened is we just got bogged down in so many fronts that we just kind of left people where they were and slowly tried to pull people back. So we
Yeah.
weren't even really focused. We didn't have our mojo, we weren't like, this is the center that we are going to focus on. We're going to eliminate it here. We're going to move on to target 2, target 3, target 3. And it's kind of just spread. Instead, it was just spreading out everywhere. And that was the main mistake. Don't spread everything too thin, or else nothing's going to get done.
well, those are all interesting, but we must get to my third favorite,
Oh yeah.
Jimmy
We've
Carter.
kind of. Oh.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Jeez.
The farmer man.
Hear me
Banned
out.
immediately. Get him out of here.
Hear me out. Okay. So, in our modern culture, what do we need the most of? Unity. And what did Jimmy Carter provide? Unity.
Oh,
Everybody disliked him because of how lousy a president he was.
Yeah, that's
So,
such a great
if we
genius.
had a president like Carter today, but he would obviously, well, we do Biden, but he would have to be more extreme because of how polarized everything has gotten. If we had Biden on steroids,
boy. I think
I
we
shudder to
started a
think, but if we
war
had
in the.
Biden on steroids, everybody would come together.
We got a
Right?
lot. We got a lot of
Hey,
we got
gosh.
a lot of Jimmy Carter stands.
Listen,
Man,
I've seen
this
a
is
lot of the
interesting,
skits
dude.
from. Have you seen the SNL
Oh,
skits?
it is Jimmy Carter's birthday. Yeah, we brought that up. Yeah, Jimmy. It is Jimmy
Yeah,
Carter's
it's at
birthday.
Stan's.
Oh,
Sorry,
this
guys.
this is sort of hard owning him on his birthday. Okay, personally, I know that he
Hey, I'm
built a
just
lot of
joking,
Habitat for
Ornstein. It's
Humanity.
okay. I'm not trying to diss you.
Hmm.
I
Well,
like how
anyway,
I
so
like
my
how Jimmy.
actual third favorite president, though,
What is
maybe
it?
Silent Cal. I don't
Oh yeah,
those
Calvin
like
Coolidge.
those.
I honestly would
He
put
and his
him
like
ahead.
predecessors were sorry for going off, but he and some of
Oh,
his
yeah.
predecessors were some of the last people to really understand that the Declaration of Independence, while it may have been a separate legal document technically, is sort of interwoven with the Constitution in like spirit of the law, if that makes sense. And that and that and that we have to not necessarily interpret it, but it is just as much an important piece of paper, quote unquote, as our Constitution. And that's coming from somebody who doesn't particularly take much stock in the Constitution. If anything, I sort of view the Declaration of Independence. Um. Anyways, so we
But yeah,
must move on.
I would kind of copy you and put Calvin as number 3 and Reagan as number 4.
So now
Because I really like Silent Calvin.
we mun move on now. Which
Yeah,
is
Flame
the-
Shot is unloading with stuff about Jimmy Carter. People in the chat really like Jimmy Carter, apparently.
well, we're up here and they're not. So what does that say? So what does that say about their stances, huh?
Jimmy Carter was an innocent man. Have you ever seen the SNL?
He's a good guy. He does humanitarian stuff. I think what he does in the humanitarian avenue is based.
The thing
He's
is,
a good.
is
I
that,
think he's a good guy. You know, he
Yeah,
does charity
yes.
stuff.
He's always kind of, whenever I see him depicted, he's always depicted like, if I keep on like referencing the SNL skits. He's always referenced as like this nice, genuine, like common man, like this kind of like nice guy who just cares about you. Like he just seems like the average like grandma, grandpa, but like younger. You know what I mean? Like he cares about you. He wants to help you, and he's the president of the United States somehow. He's just this nice commoner.
Well, yes. So I guess we must move on, but
Yeah, we
because
gotta
we
move
are
on.
recording this on Jimmy Carter's birthday, and because the office of the
Happy
president
birthday,
is to show
Jimmy.
some respect, happy birthday, Jimmy Carter! If and you ever
Jimmy
watch
boy.
this for some reason, know that despite all of our disagreements, you
served this
you
country.
did the thing.
You did the thing, and that's what matters.
Yeah, so for our next question, which I thought we would be close to the end by now, but for our next question, which is the worst amendment to the Constitution that we made?
Oh boy.
So I will start with John this time.
All right, give me a second.
And make it snappy.
Okay. Let me just swallow this food without choking. All right. Worst amendment. I have a special disdain for as an more so an anti-federalist or a classical federalist. That's how I would say it, because this is just ridiculous. The income tax amendment. Oh man, when you fought an entire war, civil war, over
Tax
like
evasion.
2 massive swaths of states without an income tax, what excuse do you have to essentially take money out of like underneath a state's hand and then later on use it as a bargaining chip to cut funding from states and do all this stuff? So, and my second part, my number 2 would be like the Senate amendment. Appointed
Jesse?
Senate. Yeah. Oh.
Your worst amendment?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna have to say 2 here. One for my girlfriend and one for me, because if I didn't say 2, she'd be mad. The one I'm answering when she listens to this is the 19th Amendment. And the one that I personally choose is the 18th Amendment. If you don't know what the 19th and 18th are, 19th is women's rights to vote, and the 18th is prohibition, because prohibition was a mess.
Well, for me,
Oh,
it is definitely sort of a John camp between deciding which is worse: the income tax one, which allowed this reckless spending that we have, and the Senate one.
yeah, and that's why
I-
my state's roads are so bad, by the way, that they cut funding to Louisiana because we didn't agree with their drinking law or their drinking age. So yeah, that's that too.
Yes, that is. This is one of the downsides of being a podcast. I would throw up the meme. My roads look like this, so the Taliban can look like this. It just doesn't kit it out in U.S. Gear. So I'm sort of in that picking and choosing between. I would say income tax probably has to outweigh the Senate because even though the Senate has been like the change of the Senate is disastrous and kind of undermines the point of the Senate, the income tax I feel had a more present impact on Americans. So number four.
Yeah.
Number
Here's
four of
more
our
Oh
of
boy,
question.
here we
my
go.
response.
Our next question: Amazon Basics flamethrower, if they ever release one, or Elon Musk flamethrower?
Oh, this is this the fourth the dreaded fourth question?
This is not the question with ultimate seriousness. This is a more
Okay,
fun
okay.
question to get you
I
loosened
like
up.
Musk more, so I would go with the Musk flamethrower because he's more out there and kind of interesting than
Yeah.
Bezos. I really don't like Bezos. At least with Musk, the bad stuff he does is kind of leveled out with the good stuff. With
Yeah,
Bezos, he's just a little gremlin.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I completely agree. I hate Bezos and I love Musk. So yeah, Musk, whatever it is, flamethrower. What is it? I don't know.
Yes, flamethrower.
He made a flamethrower though.
Yeah.
You could buy it. It's like $500, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh my, wait,
Well,
500?
I'm saying,
Wait, no
when I
cap?
said hypothetical, I meant Amazon Basics makes a flamethrower.
No one's gonna buy that because everyone hates Amazon. Like everyone's gonna buy it from Musk. Musk is the guy they would get that from. If you're gonna get a flamethrower, don't go from
Well,
like
yes,
Amazon.
but imagine the irony of Amazon starting off as a bookstore, but now you can buy an Amazon Basics flamethrower to burn anathema literature.
Literally Fahrenheit 451.
So, okay.
New
For me,
1984 memes.
No, it's literally Fahrenheit 451. Like they're burning books, literally.
I'm going to break the mold of my own question. I would say replica M2 US flamethrower.
That is the fault. You cannot reject the false dichotomy. You have two choices. Choose one.
Okay,
Choose it now.
I'll pick Musk's Musk flamethrower, the Musk flamethrower, because I have a friend who owns a Tesla, and I think that it would be really funny if I pranked him by burning it with a Musk flamethrower.
We have successfully peer pressured him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Musk,
So,
Musk,
okay, are you ready? Are you
Musk.
ready?
Oh
Okay, you
boy.
gotta prepare yourselves because this is the ultimate question. This is the one that is going to
man.
affect how I look at you in the near future, possibly for decades to come. If we're not arrested by federal police in like the next 5 minutes.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Don't worry.
No.
Oh god.
So
What is
this is the question.
this?
This is the question. Okay. So, assuming America cannot become a monarchy, and we have all agreed that supreme leader, just a dictator for life, is the best option, the best second option rather. Would the My Pillow guy make a good supreme leader?
Who?
The My Pillow guy.
Excuse me?
Who?
Mike Lindell?
Yes.
Oh man.
No, who?
I mean, the guy's based.
This is
Mike
not
Lindell is
the-
pretty based,
I
but
want
This
to
is not
know.
the reaction I had in mind. I was expecting roaring laughter because I
Oh, the
hyped
My
this up
Pillow
so
guy?
much.
Wait,
Yes,
he is the My Pillow guy.
Yes.
You want the My Pillow guy to be the dictator? No, I got Billy Mays. Get the
Isn't
corpse
he
of Billy
dead?
Mays. Yes, exactly. Get the corpse of
oh
Billy Mays.
man.
I want this country to be led by the corpse of Billy Mays. Okay, listen here.
Oh my god, dude.
We will be led by the corpse of his corpse will lead us all
I
into
mean,
great.
if we had to go dictator, okay, maybe
Vincere.
Mike Lindell.
Vincere. I said
Like if there
Vincere.
was no other option and there couldn't be a monarchy, maybe okay, I would understand because I don't think he's that much of a tyrant. So he'd be the kind of dictator that just occasionally like puts his foot down. You know what I mean? So
She'd give us
I don't get
high-quality
the like.
pillows.
I don't get the Iron Fist vibe from him. I guess because he makes pillows, but that's besides the point.
No, exactly. That's a good thing. He
Um,
gives all free pillows. That's his national.
yeah.
He wants to provide pillows for all.
So we'll probably monopolize my pillow.
I don't see a
And-
problem with this. Nationalizing the pillow industry so that all men can have pillows.
He will
Everyone
probably
gets a pillow.
Every man a
have
pillow king.
corporatist pillow production,
My favorite.
and yeah,
I see nothing
mean-
wrong with that. That's fine. Perfect. Great.
I guess.
This is
No, wait,
So-
let's do that. Go.
yes. My Monarchist of America / Mike Lindell for Supreme Leader. This should be our new official title.
If we don't get a monarchy,
Exactly.
if we don't get a monarchy, all the other good picks for dictator, or Lord Regent or whatever, get knocked out of the way. What about Mike Lindell as monarch? Excuse me.
Hmm.
King Lindell
We need that as
King-
we need that picture as
for the first. King Michael. Yes.
we
Yes.
need that as a as an emote now. Oh yeah.
King Michael
By the way,
first?
guys, we can have a banner now, which I need to pick a banner. But yeah, we do.
Mike Lindell wearing
And Mike
his pillow
Lindell
as
as
a
our
crown.
banner.
Mike
Yeah.
Lindell wearing his crown, wearing a pillow as his crown. Mike
yeah,
Lindell.
yeah. Mike Lindell wearing a crown as our banner.
Every man a pillow is the greatest sentence has ever been uttered for this entire location.
This is not going to help our perception as LARPers, is it?
Listen,
yeah, guys,
he'll give us free
talking
pillows
about-
to LARP with. He'll give us free pillows to LARP. We can send him a
We
pillow
should be
for it.
talking about like monarchy LARPy stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
we
you
should
mean
be
like
talking
you
Like,
want
what
us?
would the crown be? What would the outfit be?
Hold on, guys. I got the most
Yeah.
LARPy thing possible. Let's talk about national defense policy and tax policy. Well, what's the most
Yeah.
LARPy thing? Because that's a LARP, right? Like, guys,
Wait a minute.
talking about
Isn't that
LARPs.
what we've done at several points on this podcast?
No. That's the
Oh, yeah.
LARPing is
What
when you
is
discuss
LARP
is when you
anyways?
discuss
Okay,
LARPing-
answer me
unimportant
that.
things.
LARPing is short for live action role playing, and in
Exactly.
the context now, from my understanding, because I was never particularly in tune with all the hip going on slang terms. From my understanding, it is
It's a pill.
essentially acting as you want something, but you're not actually prepared to fight for it. So imagine
As long as you have weapons,
you're
it's okay. Okay, got
so
it.
imagine if you buy like a whole bunch of military surplus kit, you get this fully tricked out AR-15, and you're like, yeah, the Fed boys come. I'm gonna okay, the ATF is gonna come after me for even joking about this, but so I'm
already
gonna
coming
resist
after you.
tyranny, and then as soon as the government says turn in your guns or else, you just say, hey, here's the gun. And here's all the ammunition you didn't know about
And
it. You want that
I have
too?
the official term for LARPing, for LARPer. A word that describes a live action role player or someone who enjoys acting out fantasy adventures.
Hey guys, it sounds exactly like us.
Yeah, that's what we do. We act out fantasy adventures. Of course. Duh.
Fantasy adventure
that
just
all
so
the
happens
time,
to
man.
be political objectives in the real world.
Yeah.
It just so happens to align that way. Can't you tell, guys?
Yeah.
So we're real
We're on an
LARPers.
adventure. Yeah,
we're
totally.
like LARPers, but like to the power of 2.
Yeah,
we're
dude.
LARPers, but we're
Wrong.
LARPing so hard that we're actually trying to accomplish real goals.
Exactly. We're LARPing so hard we become real.
Yeah, Fred's had enough. He's done. He's done with our. He's like, let's just end this episode.
Tomfoolery has.
I'm sorry, Fred.
Well, we are out of questions.
We've destroyed our credibility in the process too.
I mean, it's supposed to be a chill episode. We kind of
This is supposed to be
made
a
that
chill
point at the
episode.
beginning.
This is
I'm
the most chill
sorry,
episode of
guys.
anything I've ever been a part of.
I might actually put effort into the title this time.
We need
Great.
to have
Behind the
we need to
scenes
have
thing.
a
Oh, guys, we gotta
chill
do like
episode
Q and
like
A at
once
the
per
end.
month
We
or
gotta have like
something.
viewer questions. Like, we have to have an actual show.
I mean, we
Behind
could have viewer questions. Do we want to do viewer questions now?
right now, we could do a couple viewer questions.
Okay, guys, write your questions into the
In the
chat.
comments down below.
Yeah, in the comments down above us in the conference text chat. And write out your questions for us.
In
And
the
we'll
next
try to
episode
we'll
of
try
the
to finish off with an official kind of
Oh.
stamp. Let's get this
Future
questions in.
generations of American
Hey.
monarchists are going to look back at this episode and say, "What the heck are these guys smoking?"
Listen, I would like to speak for everyone who watches this in the future. I know I've done dumb things. I still do dumb things. I'm trying to do less dumb things. So when you look at your history book, recognize the fact that I'm trying, and that some people here are trying. But sometimes, I'm sorry that I have to say this, but we're human beings, and sometimes we need a good laugh. And being not serious and just joking around is the best way to do that. Okay? Don't take everything you see seriously. Have a brain and like consider
Laughter.
if something is a serious thing or if this is
Yeah,
just
laughter's the best
relaxed.
medicine.
Exactly,
Yes.
laughing's the best medicine. So consider: is this a good laugh to like relax, or is this a genuine conversation? Something about this today tells me this is not a genuine conversation. This is just to relax. Okay, we're human beings, you know. We have lives.
So
Okay, we kind of have like one question, one
well,
semi-long question.
Ornstein commented first, and personally, I like it. We should talk more about Mike Lindell.
Oh God.
Forget the actual serious question about national debt or whatever, because I think we made our point clear. Fed boys be cringe, and
That's
Yeah,
why people don't take seriously.
I will state, yeah, they should all be about Mike Lindell. I don't necessarily agree. They can be like one or two, but you know, we're not turning into Mike Lindell stands. I mean,
What do you
I
mean you're
think the
not turning
guy's
into, like,
okay.
that better be like the April Fool's joke of this year. This better be like the Mike Lindell supporters of America.
Just change my PFP to Mike Lindell.
If this organization
then-
doesn't do a unified Mike Lindell supporter, it's like I expect on April 1st, 2022, this server on Discord will be called Mike Lindell supporters. for
I'll
Dictator.
consider it.
More
If
like
the
Mike
joke
Lindell
lasts long
for
enough,
Dictator. I want
if the joke manages to last long enough, I'll do it.
I want the Twitter.
it will be better. It will be better than what we did back when USAM was a thing
Excuse
with
me.
communist.
Yeah,
What was the joke then?
I
Communist.
don't know. I
monarchist-
wasn't chancellor then. I was just kind of out. And then
I
they were
want-
like,
I
"Hey,
want-
let's do communist." And I'm like,
I want
"Okay."
the Twitter
I
to
was
be
not even
called
informed. I was
Mike
on the council.
Lindell. I want the Twitter to be called Mike Lindell for Dictator of America. That's what I want.
Okay,
And I want this
we
People are
have some.
asking
I want that
questions.
to be
Okay,
the-
we have some real questions. We have some real questions here. Okay, we have Tom Did's question. I think that was. Okay, the
Discussed last
office
episode,
of
wasn't
the
it?
treasurer has declared that without military or without intervention, we will run out of money by October 18th. So it's kind of serious. I think
mean,
we've already discussed what we think about as far as debt goes.
It's just a political game. There's nothing to gain.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
lose.
yeah.
It's just
But yeah, I do agree that for now we need to raise the debt ceiling one more time and then figure out how to stabilize our money intake so we can start surplusing, or having money surplus as opposed to deficits. Okay, Fred's question. This is a more meaty question. If the United States ever became a monarchy, what will be the actions taken with more devout religious Christian groups free from government like the Amish? Will they have laws of the state being enforced on them, or would they be left alone?
well, I feel like they would be treated as.
And that's from Fred.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
feel
would
like
be.
Amish,
They'd be
it's
given the
gonna be-
same rights as. They'd be
Just
given the
like-
same rights, at least under our platform, as everyone else. I mean,
Yeah, they'd probably
as long
be.
as
they'd
the
probably follow-
Amish volunteer to become laborers building buildings,
there is no problem,
Donate
and
their
we will let them
labor.
do whatever.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of like having something like an official religion, which is kind of what our idea of it is, kind of having an official religion. Like generally speaking, Christianity as an officially spoken or not, like an officially spoken language,
Culture.
or so it's like an officially like worshipped religion. That's kind of the way I see it. It wouldn't necessarily be um kind of the uh religious subjugation. It wouldn't be that. It would be like, okay, there are certain Christian ideals that should be upheld, and we shouldn't shy away from Christian iconography and stuff like that. But at the same time, we're not going to discriminate against you if you're another religion. You know what I mean? So that kind of answers that question. Does anybody else want to kind of chime in with that?
I think you covered it. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it
Yeah.
should definitely be treated like it is a religion, as opposed to, I feel like, well, we should treat some religions should not be treated like religions, but some religions definitely should be treated more like religions than they currently are.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
think
that makes sense
yeah.
to you.
Well, all I will say about the Amish question that was raised, I have vague memories in elementary school of going to like an Amish town or something, and I don't remember much. I don't even remember if the guy had a beer, but I'm going to assume he did. And I do not remember being given free butter. That was
Does
true.
Did
that upset you deeply?
Okay,
this
as
this
far
this is the resentment for my personal grudge against.
okay, there is another question from Ornstein. Assuming that okay, um, wait, let me see.
Can I just make a preface? These statements are subject to change based on situation. We're speaking
Yeah.
from current
Oh,
circumstances.
and yeah,
Please be
we're not going
please
to be like this. This won't be necessarily a state religion. It's more like a collective like religion.
Yeah,
So it's not.
please think about
It's
these things subjectively, as
yeah,
opposed to like this is how it will always be in all circumstances. We are making these statements and claims with the information we currently have available.
yeah,
We are human beings. We are fallible. So please recognize us as such. We might change statements or opinions
yeah.
later on, but these are what
So
we're
like
thinking now. As
so
what,
Ornstein said, we're kind of getting off Ornstein because he had a lot of questions.
Mhm.
Also, to clarify my question from episode 6, I meant American values as in separation of church and state, not Protestant. Excuse me, not Protestant America. So, do you think making the U.S. a Catholic nation will go against American ideals? I don't think I've ever stated I want a strictly Catholic state religion. It
I think
would,
that
if
question was actually
anything, it
addressed.
would be a general Christianity being the official religion. So it wouldn't be enforceable by the state, and it wouldn't be allowed to infringe on the rights laid out in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the way I see it. What's
I'm
your guys' opinion on that?
well. I'm sure. I'm 95% sure that question was addressed to me because I think he asked it to me last time.
Yeah.
Oh
The
yeah,
way in regards to separation of church and state, yes, it goes against the concept of separation of church and state, both in the way it was originally intended and in the way it's used now. Because personally, because my position, not the MOA platform or anything, but my position is that that America needs to be specifically a Catholic state for it to prosper the most. So in that sense, it does go against both the traditional and more tolerable definition of separation of church and state, and the more modern separation of church and state, which is just state enforced wokeism.
Now,
Now,
ideally speaking, I would agree with that statement because I
I
am a
agree.
Catholic.
well,
You know,
yes,
but I think as where we are right now, we should have a generally Christian official like declared religion, not necessarily one specific denomination.
Hmm.
But I agree for the most part especially if we have a Catholic monarch or an Orthodox monarch or a Lutheran monarch. They should be the keeper of both Christianity, the keeper of Catholicism, all the other religions within their borders, as well as all alternate religions, Abrahamic faiths, stuff like that. So they're not going to be, and I think Charles Colomb did a video about this with multiculturalism. The monarch would probably be a member, at least nominally, of multiple churches. So it wouldn't be like he's dominating every other religion. So yeah, that's kind of
to the would somebody be prevented from entering the federal workforce because their religion, say it's Jewish, Muslim, or Orthodox? The way I would
absolutely not.
imagine it being run is sort of like how Austria-Hungary was run, where you could rise as high as you wanted to, but it was always with the understanding that it's a Catholic state, and to this day is Corpus Christi, and this day is this, and this day is that, and you're gonna have to deal. So in that sense, although in that sense it's, hey, you're not coming to work today. So work today. I'm sorry for I'm sorry for not offending you. So so in that sense, it would sort of be like Austria-Hungary in that regard.
Well, I feel like it's a very reasonable way to run the place because, you have to understand that this is how we're running things, but we're not going to persecute you because we're a different way. We're going to accept you, but we're just saying that you're with us, so you have to follow our rules. It's not really like...
And, it's not like you have to, engage in...
Yeah, it's not like you're required to engage in it. Like, it was a state... Like, the state religion was Catholic, but you didn't have to be Catholic to work for the government, do different jobs.
Yeah.
It's just how it should be. Like, it's a religiously free society.
Yeah. And I think we're gonna take a few more questions before we're probably gonna have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Last question from Ornstein. He keeps asking questions. I appreciate it heavily. Okay, question. Can a monarch of the U.S. be a different religion other than Christianity or even other than the Abrahamic religions? I personally would say I wouldn't. I don't know, because the reason why I say Christianity is, for the most part, that's the majority faith in the country. Now, if it were different, I would say maybe okay, as long as them being a monarch of a specific religion doesn't infringe on my right to be a Catholic, then I would say okay. What are your opinions on that?
I mean, ultimately, the objective, I would say, would be it should be a Catholic state, but that's from my personal view. But
that's kind of
be
mine
willing
too.
to make
And I think
compromise.
I can speak for Charles there.
I'm going to speak for Charles because obviously, we hold basically the same opinion in the respect that we think it should be a certain way, but we're not going to completely shut out the option of compromise, because if that is an option, then we'll take it, because it's about getting the best situation. It's not about just doing whatever we want. It is mostly about doing what we can for ourselves and each other. So obviously
we'll take one or two more questions. So if you have them, this is the time to send them. But Jesse, continue.
I was going to say that it's just we're willing to make compromises, but we kind of generally have a kind of set tenant, because it's about consistency. We believe this. We want things to be this way, so we're going to try and keep it as close as possible to that.
Yeah, Tom, dude, please repeat your question for us. Oh, sorry, Jesse.
I was going to fish. We just don't want to be inconsistent with our beliefs. We kind of have this firm belief, so we want to maintain it and try to be as close as possible to it at all times, as opposed to just flip-flopping because of a different situation.
Okay. How would a more religious monarchy treat Mormonism? This is kind of like a what if.
I mean, this is a personal opinion because I
Yeah,
have
kind of.
a
We're
very
kind of steering away from the platform. Yeah, personal.
I have a very negative experience with them. In that, whenever I see them, it just they remind me so much of a cult, and it just genuinely scares me. And
I don't think you can step foot into
you're not
their
allowed to.
church.
You're not. They will call the police, and that concerns me because I feel like
Jesus.
it's just a bit extreme to say you're not allowed in here, and if you come in here, we will arrest you. Like it's just. I feel like you shouldn't have to hide your faith if there was nothing wrong
Yeah.
with
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it. I don't have
Um,
I don't I'm not gonna hold anything against them, but I just think that they need to, you know.
Oh yeah. Ornstein
I've,
just posted a video about
yeah,
knowing
I've seen
better.
that.
Mormonism.
I've seen that
Yeah.
video. And it doesn't really. It more or less upholds my opinion and says, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I I
That
kind
is
of
concerning.
I kind of stopped watching Knowing Better, and I don't even think
Yeah,
I saw that
after he
video.
retracted everything he said about Columbus. Remember that? He
I
basically
think
He retracted all of them.
well, he said, let me preface this as saying about my last video or about Columbus, that video.
Yeah.
Like, I think Columbus Day should be replaced with Indigenous Peoples Day. He just essentially
But he
saved face,
defended it,
I think.
so I feel like that's a bit
It's
like
weird. It's
I feel like it's a
weird.
bit underhanded for him to make one statement or claim and then to go back on it.
I mean,
I don't know if he actually. I don't know if he like substantially went back on it because like when I opened the video, it was like, let me say this, you know.
I don't
Excuse me.
necessarily dislike the guy. I did like his video on uncovering the Armenian genocide because I felt it was
Yeah, he's good for some things, and for others, he's kind of eh. I can miss the
he did
video.
like my comment
Here's the
Huh.
thing
on
that
YouTube.
have
So,
you seen? I actually have seen the way he kind of does videos. It seems like he doesn't have expertise in like a lot of things. Kind of like he's more of a generalist, so he's not an expert in what he speaks on. So sometimes he's very good about his research and he nails it on the head, and sometimes he's very poor about it. It just kind of depends on if the information he gets. And I feel like that it's kind of playing roulette. It depends
his
on his
fan
source.
subreddit is cringe though.
It depends more
I
on
don't know if
his
he runs it or
sources.
not, but his fan subreddit is cringe. Don't go there.
Oh yeah,
It will kill you. No, okay.
it can easily go cringe. Okay, we're gonna try for one last question, and then we're gonna wrap it up. If we've been at it for a while.
An hour and a half,
I don't have a
almost.
problem
So
with
we've
that. I'm
been
very happy
really,
with the results. I'm very happy with this. We've done pretty good.
yeah. It's been more. I think we should shoot for at least one of these types per month.
I feel like doing like longer ones are more effective because you can say a lot more. Like obviously, less people are going to
Yeah.
watch it, but I feel like having it play in the background while you're like doing work or homework or like studying or something like that, it's nice because you can like hear it and you feel like you're kind of just have it as like a background noise. And sometimes you're able to pay attention when you're not that busy. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's have
You'll hear
because
my
people are gonna
constant
pay attention.
ums.
Exactly, it's going to be soothing to the one person who's watching this while doing one of the things I just listed.
Yeah.
So
It's
one last question. Sing me
yeah.
one
I think.
last
Did
song.
anybody have one last question? I think I can
'Cause
dig
I
up
just want
a
to
few.
go. I just want to go downstairs. I want to brush my teeth. I
Go
want
to
to say.
And
sleep.
go night
I
night.
just want to say. I want to say a prayer. Jump
I'm gonna
into
do.
bed.
I'm
Turn
gonna
on the.
do 2 rosaries before I go to sleep.
Okay. Ornstein. I know Ornstein's been asking a lot of questions, but he asked a question earlier that kind of caught my eye, and this will be the last question before we wrap up.
Hmm.
Assuming that America, or assuming that a monarch will be held to a constitution, semi-constitutional monarchy, how will this be enforced? I'm gonna let you guys lead.
I guess I'll take the lead on this one. Well, as someone who's more, I guess, an absolutist, this is sort of interesting because you cannot just necessarily treat the monarch as another dude, right? He's not just like a
Yeah.
righteous dude, right? He needs to be he's sort of the first among equals, to use that terminology, or he's the father of the fatherland. So it's sort of like, how do you reprimand the father, your dad, when he does something wrong? So that's interest. So that's interesting. But in a semi-constitutional monarchy, where I guess in that context, it's more like your older brother, because you also get to make decisions. But then again, this older brother does have like a lot of seniority over you, so you don't get to make all the decisions, but you kind of
Yeah,
get
the
to
way
make.
yeah, the way I
So
see it is kind of the Constitution is a binding contract between the nation, the people of the nation, the monarch, and God himself. So if we're looking at a constitution, at least my ideal idea of a constitution, it should have it should hold the monarch accountable in a way where if he does anything wrong, it's more severe that he does something wrong than a normal person
Actually,
because he is the most he has the most responsibility.
actually,
If this constitution is binding from heaven, from the people, and from the monarch. The monarch's an active participant in this contract. I don't think. I think he should be the one. It should be more severe to him. And what does that mean by that? Is see, I'm kind of like a syncretic person between absolutism and uh, constitutionalism. I kind of see them as compatible. I think an absolutist mindset, like divine right, can play a role in the idea of constitutionalism. What I mean by that is the Constitution, if it isn't divinely, yeah, Ornstein said semi-constitutional monarchism. Um, it's and I'm speaking purely personally. You know, I'm not talking about anything in regards to official MOA policy, but religiously speaking, I kind of see the Constitution as it should be seen, and the undergirding of it should be religious, and divine right should be contingent on the monarch's upholding of the Constitution and of religious moralism. So I think the monarch should be more harshly judged under a constitution than anything because he, as a servant of the land, and as I call him the landlord for Christ, as the person that keeps guard of the land for Christ, waiting for Christ, um, I see it as if he doesn't do his job, it is within the right of the people um, to replace him with somebody that's willing to do God's work. Now, that's just me. I'm interested to know what your idea behind it is, Jesse.
well, I was about to mention because I came back and I heard you mention
Mm.
this whole thing about punishing them more because they are more important. If you've
Mhm.
ever read middle age books from the western parts of Europe and especially in like Ireland, if you've ever read, especially it's in Libri Penitentiales, which is the book of penitentials, or the
Mhm.
original book about penitentials and penance and all that. If you read it, it specifically states like the higher you are in terms of like the social hierarchy and social authority, the more harsh and punish and penance must be because you've done something bad. But since you're at elevated status, it's worse. And
Yeah.
so I completely agree, and I feel like if you notice that, like he even like it says, if you rob a monk, it's only this much time. If a bishop or a priest does it, it's this much. And basically, it just keeps on going on. And I feel like that's the same way. If you do something and you're higher up in the social hierarchy, it affects more people. So thus, the benefits you should get should be more extreme. But on the other hand, so should the punishments, and I suppose that would include the consequences thereof.
And I think
To
that
be.
should be kind of melted into the Constitution. So, in my opinion, So I'm kind of a semi-absolutist, as Ornstein said. I kind of view it as I'm kind of a semi-absolutist. I think that's an option in Monarch. I kind of view constitutionalism and absolutism as kind of a person from the East would view the mandate of heaven. I think if you mess something up so bad and you do so with like it really gets me in passion. That's where I think the appeal to heaven is so valuable when burnt into kind of a monarchist kind of outlook. But instead of bringing a republic into it, bringing another more holy monarch into it. That's how I kind of see it.
I agree.
So we don't orphan ourselves, which America did.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the really good last question that I kind of wanted to bring up, just to
Okay.
kind of get a little litmus test on what I believe and what the rest of the people here believe.
Just
And
to
we actually rounded off on a serious note. So yeah.
Can we
Just to
go
clarify,
back
this
to
is
talking
the
about Michael
first
Lindell? It reminds me of a time when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't so
I
tired.
will be saving that emote. Just so you know, whoever posted that in conference chat, I will be stealing that for
Okay.
an emote.
So
God have mercy on
I-
our sins now.
Yes,
so
yes,
I mean,
yes.
Someone has
it
started
is. I'm taking the executive decision. All I will say is that while trying to untangle some the Catholic necklaces I wear, this cross that I've had for years and I forgot where I got it has a Saint Benedict medal in it, and I just noticed this, and I also wear a Saint Benedict medal, so
Ooh,
I'm
base.
kind of wearing
Those
two Saint Benedict
coincidences, man.
medals at the same time when I so that
Oh
is
God.
that is all that is what I guess the last bit of announcement.
I'm trying to verify somebody and like they keep adding like their roles because I made it so they can add their roles before they join. And like I added one and like every one of them just flooded in. I was like, holy
Nobody needs
crap.
to know how the hot dogs are made.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
I
so
just leaked it.
I guess because I need to wrap this up
Oh
because
God, here it
I
comes.
work. Charles York is not designed to go past 9 o'clock, without going to sleep. We shall wrap this up in prayer, and I guess do you want to lead John the Our Father, because you're
All
the
right.
boss man?
Let's lead. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Amen.
Amen. Father,
To
Son,
Father,
Holy
Son, Holy Ghost.
Spirit.
Amen. And
All right. Saint, I
Great
think
work.
yesterday, Wednesday was the feast
Great
of the
work.
Archangel. So I think Massima's PFP was Saint Uriel. So Saint Uriel, pray for us, and all the archangels pray for us. So all right,
all right,
guys.
take care and God
Yeah.
bless. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.